air traffic control to security checkpoints and so forth, those became transparent and without a hiccup to those, because that is our first priority, as I said, life safety, flight operations, and security. We notified our federal partners, including Transportation Security Administration, Air Traffic Control, and our FBI partners. And from that point, it began, what do we bring up, when do we bring it up, and how long will it be down? So public facing, after the first few critical hours, it became our flight information displays, our baggage information displays, and our email to public facing that were not back up as of Monday morning. We also had a printing of our badges. We had not finished that vetting completely until later on Monday afternoon. So badging began on Tuesday as regularly scheduled. So it became the next week. What do we do to get our flight information displays, our baggage information, our emails back up? The city of Cleveland, within 24 hours or 30 hours, issued new emails through the city server for the leadership of the airport so that we could communicate. It was, how do we continue business, our business continuity plan? How do we bill? How do we payroll, and so forth? And those, we put that in place. And then I'm good to say that beginning at about midnight last night, working through our vendors, our flight information display and baggage information display started coming back up. So there's protocols that we started on last Sunday, first to isolate and inoculate, and leading up to those types of public-facing services that you guys have been reporting on over the week, flight information displays and so forth. So I have Agent Smith from the Cleveland FBI with us. We've had a briefing this morning. Agent Smith, more details from your office.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Hi, again, my name is Brian Smith. I'm an Assistant Special Agent in Charge here at the Cleveland FBI. So just wanted to confirm a couple things that Mr. Kennedy said. First of all, as he mentioned, there were none safety issues at the airport. We've been in contact with our federal partners at the FAA as well as with TSA, and so we can confirm that for the general public. They were never at risk. As he mentioned, with the timeline, the FBI was notified on Sunday, last Sunday, about this incident. We provided some guidance and some expertise to their staff there of things that they should be looking for and things they should be doing. And then throughout this week, we've been working with our partners at the airport to deal with the issue at hand. We can confirm at this stage, at least, that there's an ongoing investigation, so there's a limit as to what I can say about what was found down there. But I can assure you that we have a dedicated team of cyber experts. Over the years, we've developed an expertise within this area and are very familiar with this type of malware that's been infected on this system, and we'll be devoting our resources to it. In general, I think this is a good example of the fact that any entity can get hit with cyber. We hear about this a lot. It's reported on the media quite often about the cyber threat that's out there. Any airport, businesses, universities, hospitals, private sector companies, schools, churches, all can be hit with this type of activity. And so it's a further reinforcement that we all need to be diligent, both in our companies and our businesses, but then also as us as individuals as to what we're clicking on, what we're accessing on our computers and our phones, because any of us can be a target for this. Very often we give some advice to the public about things you can do to protect yourself. And these are very often very simple things, and it's antivirus, making sure that the email that you're getting is from someone that you recognize, double checking if someone is asking you to do something, maybe making a phone call to confirm before you actually click on a link. All these types of things are the ways that you can prevent this type of activity from happening. But at the end of the day, these actors are persistent, they're advanced, and they will continue to try and threaten our government agencies, our private companies, and us as individuals. And it's a good lesson that we all need to be remaining vigilant in addressing the cyber problem.
At this time, we'll take a few questions if you have any.
I'd like to know, is there a ransom demand? If so, what is it? And has the city or the FBI or any federal agency responded to it?
In our briefing this morning with the FBI, as the city, as when we started at the airport unfolding this, our files were encrypted. If there was a ransom at that point, we did not know a ransom, nor would we investigate or explore the possibility of paying a ransom. So we've come to learn that part of the malware from our briefing would have been a request for ransom. However, it's not something we're going to pursue. Agent, would you like to give any other details?
Certainly. Yes, I can confirm that this morning we briefed the city about 10 o'clock this morning as to what the results were, at least the preliminary results from our investigation, and we were able to confirm that there was ransomware that was on the network. Again, it's the FBI's position and policy that we do not recommend that entities pay ransom because you're only reinforcing the bad behavior by the actors.
How the city mislead reporters when every reporter in town knows that it's ransomware, and then the city says no? Dan?
Well, you guys put out the statement, yeah, so if somebody from the city can address that.
So the question is, my name is Don Phillips. I'm the Chief Information Officer for the City of Cleveland. Our office helped the airport IT staff to combat this situation. While they have a separate IT staff, we jumped in to help them out as well. So we were working with the FBI the entire time. We initially knew it was malware probably around Monday night or Sunday night, Monday morning. We continued to investigate. We turned over forensic evidence to the FBI. They came in, and just this morning, we finally confirmed that there was ransomware. So we never got, and directly to your question, we never got a demand. That's the direct answer. We never got a demand for any type of money or anything from any entity.
There was a denial.
How can you guys be that out of touch if the FBI's been working with you guys? If the FBI's been working with you guys since Sunday, how can you be that out of touch to not know that this was ransomware, even if you didn't have a specific amount, to even put out on Friday that there was no ransom, and here we're being told there was in fact ransom, and you're working hand in hand with the FBI. How do you not know that?
Well, again, there was no ransom that I'm aware of.
But it's
There was
ransomware.
correct.
How do you not know that?
We stated from the beginning it was malware. We continued to let the FBI take the lead from a scientific perspective to figure out we were fighting the battle, so to try to get the systems back up and running. So,
Kennedy, why did it take 6 days to even acknowledge that there was a problem that was going on, and then when something was put out late Friday, it turned out not to be the full story right after?
Well, as Chief Phillips just said, we're out at the airport fighting and to restore the operations. All communication was funneled through City Hall Communications, and we were feeding information along with IT here on what the situation was at the airport. So from that...
But you need to clarify. I think you need to clarify that, just for the record, Valerie McCall, Chief of Communications, there was never an intent to mislead the media. As you all know, we put updates out every single day based on what we knew. I don't know about you, but we're not experts in this, which is why we worked with the FBI, which is why we engaged them. I think our timeline has been clear. Everything that we knew of at that time, we have shared that with the public. I mentioned today to another reporter that we were having a briefing this morning. We're doing this to let you know what we found out this morning, but I want to be clear, there was never a misleading of the press. That was not our intent. I believe we did daily updates. You should have gotten all of them. The last one we did on Friday was what we had as of Friday. So I just want to be clear that there was no misleading, and I don't think it's fair to say that, and want to be clear about that.
On that note, you said earlier, you guys said earlier that the last week also, billing was not affected, payroll was not affected.
And it wasn't.
I just heard the director say, as of last Monday, They were considering how to bill, how to payroll.
Billing was-
Considering how to bill and how to payroll, then clearly that's affected. So
Billing-
how would you say
let me
it's
be
not
clear.
affected, now you're saying it's affected?
Ed, let me be clear. Billing was never affected. Payroll was never affected. In fact, payroll is this week, not last week. Payroll was not affected and billing was not affected. What you heard him say is we put in precautions to ensure that they would not be impacted. So to be clear, I know we want to make this more than what it is. It's not, I know, but it's not. I know, we are too. So Sunday mornings, our computers went down at the airport. They self-took down everything in terms of precaution. Unplugged the computers, made sure that there was no issues. With that, they contacted our federal partners, they contacted the FBI, and then they began to bring things back on one by one. I'm not the IT person, my IT team can help step in here. Based on that, what they discovered was 3 operations were not working. The screens you look at when you come to see where's my flight, and the screen that you look at or display when you want to find out where's my luggage. In addition, direct in our media, there's nothing to payroll, nothing affected into paying bills. None of that happened. Now, there's some other things we are doing. Nobody asked us. We're putting in redundancies to ensure that this doesn't happen again. There's some legislative fixes we're moving forward with this evening. You'll see a couple pieces of legislation passed under suspension tonight, hopefully, and we can share that with you as well. But the bottom line was this has happened. We're not the first municipality. This happened at the airport. We've expressed and explained and shared everything that we've done thus far, and we'll continue to keep you updated. The good thing is today, our systems are back up in place. You heard that we're mitigating to get emails back up in place. And what's important to note is we're standing here with the FBI, our federal partners, to ensure we're making sure that you know what we've done and how we've done them. And so there's nothing else to add to this. We have the experts here today. If you'd like to.
I'd like to follow up on his.
Yes. Wait, hold on. Wait, time out. Hold on. Yes. I know. Hi, Tracy.
A couple of questions. You said that you guys told us everything. Last Monday, you told us the FBI was not involved, according to Dan.
Let me point a clarification. We contacted the FBI. Was it Sunday?
Sunday.
And we had the first meeting on Tuesday, I believe.
Yes.
There was a meeting with FBI on Tuesday.
There was a meeting on Tuesday.
Okay.
So when you contacted them on Monday, they would have been involved in this. We were told that they were not involved. We were told it was not a hack.
To be clear, we never said the FBI was not involved. We did not confirm with you. The FBI confirmed themselves that we had reached out to them. But we did. There was confirmation that we were working with the FBI.
You guys have put out the same press release all week. When I called Dan last week asking him for more information, he told me to read the press release. It said nothing.
We put out, yeah.
So what's the excuse instead of getting out?
Well, I want to be clear because we're on camera and you're using words like lie, and I think we want to be careful with that. We did not lie to the media. Now, we may not have given you what you wanted to hear at the time because we couldn't share with what we don't have. But I want to be clear. If you look at our emails, if you look at the communications we put out, we tried to clarify misinformation. Some of you may have spoken to Dan and or LaToya directly where we said, if you don't get it from us, it's not official. There was a lot of rumors out there. In the middle of a situation like this, you can't deal with rumors. You have to deal with facts, and that's what we were doing. So I apologize if you feel that you didn't get up to date what you wanted, how you wanted it, but I think that you have to give credit where credit is due. We sent out daily updates on a situation that we didn't know the extent of. We were just briefed collectively this morning on the details.
But if you don't know that there was ransomware, why say that there was no ransomware? So if you're not sure, why not just say, we're still not sure?
This very thing you just said we didn't say, you're telling us we should have said it. I think we were trying to be clear in that. We didn't want to put out false information. So when we knew that it was malware, we told you it was malware. When we confirmed it didn't impact payroll and it didn't impact anything else, we told you that it didn't impact that. So I don't know what else we can say other than that. So before we close out, anything else from FBI? Yes.
Wasn't payroll role moved from Hopkins to City Hall?
No.
It wasn't?
No.
Okay. And can you tell me the specific demand for money? What was it?
I cannot tell you a specific demand for money. I don't think you've heard anybody up here say that there was a specific demand for money.
What was the demand? Was there a demand and what was it? I'm unclear about that.
I'm not the expert, so I'm not going to answer that. What I will tell you is this, because we keep mixing metaphors. Malware, ransomware, and a ransom demand. The city of Cleveland, we have not received any ransom demand letter.
Again, we're from there. Why isn't he managing the situation?
He is managing. He's just not here today.
Why?
Are you done, Tom? Did you have a follow-up?
Investigator Smith, could you just clarify for that? I think, if you don't mind stepping back, I think we all have the same question to what Tom was saying. So are you saying that Monday morning, this morning, you told the city that it was ransomware, but not beforehand? And was there a specific ransom demand?
So we have an ongoing investigation, so there are some limits as to what I can say. What I can do is I can go through our timeline as to what happened. We were contacted on Sunday by the city regarding incidents at the airport. We worked with their team throughout and then had a meeting on Tuesday, which was confirmed by the folks here, where we sat down with them to get the additional details, the technical details that we needed, which we've then taken back to our office to go through. Since then, we've been analyzing the information that they provided to us, and then this morning we provided them a brief as to what we had seen in their network.
Just so I understand, ransomware, I'm not an expert on this, but
Yeah.
ransomware, presumably a ransom demand is made, but the city chose not to respond. Is that correct?
I can't speak to the specifics in this situation. What I can speak to is, in general, malware is a general term about any sort of unauthorized materials on your computer, in layman's terms. Ransomware would be when your computer gets infected and your files are all encrypted, and then very often then there is some sort of email or a link that you have to click onto, which would give you a demand as to what you need to be paying on that, typically in like a virtual currency. I can't.
That exists, right? That email exists.
That email.
That email that you're referring to, that exists.
That I can't comment on. I can only speak as to in generalities as to how ransomware would work. And then an entity would have to then take an overt step to then access, to then identify who and what they would need to be
Can
paying.
you tell me why you can't comment on it?
It's an ongoing investigation.
Are there any documents or files that are known to be missing at this stage?
That's a question for the city.
Yeah, other than probably the emails that our team can't get, other than that, no,
Any
not,
documents?
nothing that we're aware of. Nothing that we're aware of. Nothing that I know standing up here talking to you right now.
What's the status today out there? I heard that the internet is still down and the email is...
Some emails are still down. As you know, the displays are up. The baggage displays, the in-flight displays, the same information that was readily still available to the public, but now you can at least see it on the screens. There are still some email things going down. As I mentioned today, we have some legislation that we're moving forward on that would normally take a little longer than this. The good thing is the airport was already in the process of doing some changing around, so we're expediting that to create more redundancy and to hopefully get those emails back up and on system. But every manager at the airport does have a temporary email address that they can utilize and that they can communicate with and be reached at.
Aside from the emails and this ongoing investigation into the ransom, is everything else back to normal?
There was never, again, to be clear, the only issue that was compromised at the airport were the screens that you looked at when you went to go say, okay, hey, I just landed, such and such flight, what baggage carousel do I go to? Those actual display screens were out. The screens that you look at when you're walking through the concourses to double check, am I at C27, am I at, C1, where I'm going in terms of that, those were down. And then the emails. That is the only impact that has occurred to the airport as of that we know of, and we've reported that. Hey, Bob.
Specifically, did you know you had malware get into the system?
The question is, what day did you know specifically it was malware, as opposed to the day that the system went down? You didn't know that until?
Sunday when we saw anomalies.
But my understanding is there was a message that appeared on screens very early on.
Again, I know. So director spoke to this earlier, that on Sunday they started noticing what he's calling anomalies on the screens.
Well,
all right.
Excuse me,
No,
our
go ahead.
ops group they work with files and they saw some anomalies. Anomalies we always question, and so we called in our IT group. IT group started their investigation to, was it a hardwire situation, was it a software situation, was it a hardware situation? And at that investigation on Sunday, they determined that there was something there should not be there.
Because the reason I asked is because, given the nature of these questions, there may not have been a denial, but there clearly was not an openness where you said we got some malware in the system until late in the week. So why did you wait till late in the week rather than staying on front of it?
I can't speak to it. I can tell you that at the time that we could confirm what it was, malware, I think we may have said that probably after Tuesday's briefing, the first briefing we had with our federal partners. I don't have the releases in front of me to confirm. I'll confirm for you. But I think that what we were trying to do as best as possible is keep you up to date with what we knew when we knew it. So if we didn't say it was malware until Tuesday, then that's when we confirmed that it was actual malware. And again, I don't even like using those terms because I know they're different definitions for malware versus ransomware. But as soon as we found out what it was, that we could publicly say it, that's what we said. And as you heard, it's under investigation. So again, there's only so much further we can go into it. I think what's important is we're back up and going. We're taking steps to build in even more redundancy to try to avoid this. What we didn't talk about, I know there was questions earlier about the length of time. Why did it take so long? These screens, the display ones that you see, are hosted by a third-party vendor that's out of the country. So you had a timing difference. In addition, I believe there was a holiday. Who hosts these?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. So there was a holiday that took place as well. So we lost a few days where normally the turnaround would have been a lot quicker than what it normally would have been. But the good thing is, Airport identified it. Airport took their systems down, brought them all back up, contacted all of our federal partners, so they self-reported this. Our team has been working, quite honestly, nonstop to try to get this back up and going. Again, on the public interfacing side, the only thing that you would notice if you were the public is that the screens were not on. And so as of this time, I think we're going to conclude this press conference. We will continue to keep you briefed.
One question I'd like to ask Agent Smith.
Oh, sure.
What are the chances of identifying the individual or individuals responsible?
So cyber investigations are tough. They are complicated, sophisticated actors that we're dealing with. And so it's hard to put a timeline on any type of our investigations, particularly in this arena. We recently had a success story, if any of you followed the Bayrob trial, where after 12 years of investigation, we actually convicted 3 Romanian individuals who went to trial last week. That is not the ideal of that it would take that long, but it does show you that these types of cases can be difficult when you have actors who are overseas, who are technically proficient, and can hide their tracks. But once we open a case, we will continue to pursue it until we find these individuals.
Brian, how does malware get into a system? Does somebody click on something? I don't understand how is that there to begin with?
Well, I'm not going to speak specifics to this situation here, but in general, most of the time, it involves individuals who are clicking on something, whether that's in an email, whether that's going to a website. It's usually a user-based situation where they make a mistake, they click on something, and then the malware is then downloaded into the system.
Could this have come by way of one of the airlines? Because they update the flight boards, right? Themselves?
I'm not sure how the systems work at the airport, so that's a question for someone else.
So is the only difference between malware and ransomware the presence of a demand for something? Is that the difference we're talking about?
So malware is a very general term. And it really is used to describe any sort of program that's on somebody's system that they didn't ask for. So when you buy Microsoft Office, you just expect Microsoft Office to be on there. So if there's anything else that would come with it, then you've got a problem there. And so it's a general term. Ransomware is a specific type of malware which then encrypts all the files within your system and any computer that it's connected to.
And just to be clear, that is what happened here, ransomware specifically.
So we've confirmed that there is ransomware on this system. Yes.
Isn't there a danger in having a third-party provider outside the country in this kind of situation?
That's not a question for me.
I think he's asking about
ongoing federal investigation. They pretty much answered everything they can at this time.
So thank you. Appreciate you being here this morning.